well, I have 20 years experience in this other thing. How does that not apply?
You're listening to the Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value. Consider this your daily dose of new ideas, fresh perspectives, and or hot takes as they relate to the worlds of customer success, post-sales, or whatever the hell we're calling it these days, and where we ask each guest one simple question. What's on your mind?
Give it a second, make sure everybody catches up, and we'll jump right into it. What's up, lifers, and welcome to the Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value, where we help bring fresh, new ideas to your doorstep every single day. I've got my man JP with me. JP, do you want to say hi?
What's going on, people?
All right, I'm your host, Dylan Young, and our guest is Kristen. Kristen, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, great to be here. Thanks so much.
Kristen, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
I'd be happy to. Yeah, everybody. So my name is Kristen Gray Psychas. A lot of my customers and my team call me KGP, a bit of a nickname I've racked up in the industry over the past couple of years. I work at a marketing technology company called Bonsai. Bonsai went public in December, and I am their director of customer success, leading the customer success team and all of our exciting cross-sell initiatives into 2020, which is a big strategy for us.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us, Kristen. And we teed you up. You have an idea of why you're here. We want to hear the one hot topic that's on your mind as it relates to customer success. So do you want to throw that out there for us?
I would love to. Yeah. I want to speak today to the candidacy process for a lot of the folks interviewing for customer success management positions. As I mentioned, Bonsai is recently public, so we're looking to make a lot of strategic acquisitions all through 2024. It's one of our core growth strategies. And to partner with that strategy comes the need for the demand for cross-selling CSMs. So the onus is on us to generate a lot of the revenue in 2020. Gartner research, a lot of experts indicate that over 60 to 70 of company revenue is going to be generated from existing customers. So really the pressure is on to be hiring a great candidate. And I just came out of that process of hiring a new CSM. We just hired someone amazing, but I want to speak to that process a little bit, not so much for hiring managers, but more so for the folks who are in the seat of they're interviewing for positions or maybe struggling to get interviews. I just have a couple of tips that I would love to share with the broader community about what you can do differently to make sure that you are maximizing on the opportunities that you have. So that's what I want to bring today.
Cool. So what are your, let's say, top 2 or 3 tips for candidates that are confronting this new, and it's not going to go away, need for employers?
Yeah, for sure. So I want to start with a little bit of storytelling, which is we posted this job listing and within a week we had 2 applicants in our candidate pipeline. And I think that is just a really helpful number for people who are in the interviewing process to know about for a couple of key reasons. I mean, first and foremost, there have been a lot of layoffs in our industry over the past couple of years. My spouse is at Google. He has survived 2 or 3 rounds of layoffs now. Very smart, highly skilled people are losing their jobs. So that makes the candidate pool incredibly rich, which as a hiring manager is great news for me. But I think for a lot of the folks out there, it's just incredibly challenging to garner the right audience and get in front of the right hiring managers. So I also want to speak really quickly to the challenge that posed as a hiring manager, because with a pipeline of that size, the challenge for me was how do I run a fair interviewing process? How am I possibly considering all the factors that I need to find exactly the right person for a company at our stage? So I knew the responsibility that I faced was real. And I think that it's something that hiring managers can acknowledge a little bit better right now, which is I did my best. And I'm sure there might be people who are listening to this right now who said, KGP did not do their best at all. They totally ignored me. But, some of the horror stories I've heard is ghosting. You just never hear back from an interview. You never get the interview. You never get feedback. The hiring managers never looked at your resume once, all of these kind of horror stories. So I knew that going into it. I was honestly a little bit stressed about how I was going to, find the right person in this incredible pool of 2 people. So we did find someone amazing. Their first day was Monday. So we did fill the position with somebody incredible. But through this process, I got a taste of some of the tactics that I would really recommend for anybody in the interviewing process today. So happy to kick those off. The first would be to read the job description. I can't tell you how many people got got to me without really having a clear idea of the role. And when I challenged back, some folks even got defensive, saying, well, I have 20 years experience in this other thing. How does that not apply? And right now, unfortunately, with the job market, this isn't necessarily a time to make those kinds of leaps into new industries or new titles. So I would first start with the job description just to make sure that you're going after the right opportunity. Another tip would be to look for roles specifically with your most recent title, right? This isn't a time where you're like, oh, I want to break into management or I want to break into customer success. Those are happening, but they're very rare. You are going to have a lot more success in those final interviews if you have worked at a company of a similar size, in a similar industry, at a similar title. It's just helping kind of get candidates to the next stage of the process because everything is being scrutinized, right? Everybody's looking for the perfect fit. And right now, hiring managers have the ability to be super picky. And then another story that I would come prepared with is to, if you did experience a layoff, come prepared with a great story to tell about what it taught you. I think a lot of folks are feeling a little bit spooked about the process and getting laid off and not really feeling like it was a reasonable response. And in many cases, I tend to agree. But I think it's important to be able to tell a compelling story about why it happened and like what it taught you eventually.
I think those are three great ones. But I want to I think JP, you probably have some thoughts having gone through this recently. And what's your opinion of the things that KGP just mentioned?
It's all solid stuff, of course. All solid advice. And I think, I'd say the intangible that can really help is the resilience, right? I think that resilience is the key factor because, you could be a very great candidate, but like Kristen said, finding that best fit, that may take a bit longer than expected. So being resilient is good.
Which they will find because the candidate pools are so damn big right now. But I think, JP, you and I have talked about this a ton of times. You took the additional strategic approach of you only went after a very small subset of companies that you decided were what you wanted to do next. It was a real and tangible passion for those companies. And do you want to talk at all about kind of why you did that, how you think it helped you, and maybe any feedback you got through your interview process about why that was a benefit?
Yeah, two things that I'd say quickly is both, really all the rounds, I definitely, for the first time, was complimented on how prepared I was. And I definitely really prepared for the interviews. That means researching who was interviewing me, really being sort of keyed in on that JD, the job description that Kristen was sort of talking about. And then also the cultural values of the company. I find that oftentimes these get skipped over, but if you want to talk like someone at the company and sound like you belong there, look at those cultural values and filter your message through it. Even better if you already align with those values. And so I think where I end up getting a great role, I'm finding really high degree of resonance because it feels as if this is a place that actually meshes well with my values. And so I think people can feel that passion. There's a tangible passion when you're coming into a role and people are like, wow, that guy you really get it and you want to work here. So
that's awesome. KGP, thank you so much for coming in and sharing those thoughts and letting us know from the other side of the table what it looks like to review candidates and how it is you're making a decision for the best one. Thank you so much for coming on to the Daily Stand-Up.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And congrats, JP. I'm thrilled for you. And for anybody listening, would love to join your network if you're looking and need any kind of help kind of navigating your next steps. I hear you. I just have all the empathy in the world for people who are searching today. So wishing everybody the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to The Daily Stand-Up by Lifetime Value. Please note that the views expressed in these conversations are attributed only to those individuals on this recording and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of their respective employers. For all inquiries, please reach out via email to dylan@lifetimevaluemedia.com. Find us on YouTube at Lifetime Value and find us on the socials at Lifetime Value Media. Until next time.
Hey folks, it's Dylan here. Thank you for tuning in as always. Now I've got a favor to ask of you. If you've made it this far, hopefully it means you like what we're doing with our program. So I'm asking you to please give this a like and a follow or a subscribe and leave a comment too. Your likes and your follows and your subscriptions, they allow us to keep doing what we're doing and reach a larger audience. Your comments help us make sure that we're making the best content for you. Best of all, it's free besides a few moments of your time. Thank you again for following along and we'll see you next time.